Your corn plants are talking to you every day, and we can learn a lot if we're listening. Of course, that could be a challenge when it's 95 degrees and 95% humidity and the pollen's starting to fall down your neck. But when you head to the field at V10 and V12 and beyond, you'll see if your program is really working and be ready to make in-season adjustments or even longer-term changes to your plant nutrition and plant health program. So here are the things that I need to learn when I walk into my own cornfield. Is my nitrogen program really working? And do I need to adjust my program for the weather and crop potential? What pests and disease do I need to look for and treat? And are there issues that are going to move this field up on the harvest schedule, such as standability? Let's start to evaluate our nitrogen program by splitting some corn plants. Let's take our knife and clean this off a little bit here as we come through the nodes. Let's see where we are when it comes to the actual gas tank. So in this case, get the dirt off of there. So what I'm looking for, just like I said, I'm not an agronomist, but I'm looking for, we got 1, 2, 3. In the fourth node, we start to see quite a bit of cotton pithing. In other words, it indicates that this plant has used up all the stored nutrients that were in the stalk. And so what I'm looking here is at this styrofoam. And in the fourth node here, you can see this actual styrofoam. In other words, that plant's totally depleted. I like the fact that we have 3 left that are really clean. Because this is, we never want to empty this gas tank totally out. We always want to keep this full of good tissue. So in other words, these soil diseases don't come rolling up into here as this plant starts to dry down. We're a full dent here. And so if we start to get a lot of stalk rots, what's going to happen here if we get a windstorm, we're going to see a lot of down corn. At the same time, I like the kind of yields that we were projecting in here. We're looking at corn that's bumping right up to 300. I expected this to be pretty depleted. So when you and I think about what's been applied here, in this case we had the 360 Bandit on the planter of 80 units on each side. I like the fact that we're putting on 80 and we keep it running until we get to head high corn. Come back in of Y drop and we applied, so we brought ourselves up to 210 total units here. This is not a year to short yourself on nitrogen. When you and I have opportunity to sell corn for $7 to $6.75, even $6 corn, I don't care how expensive your N is, put it on. And so normally our normal program would be 180 total units. In this case, we come in after a wheat crop. I said, let's put on 210. And if we're bumping in that 300, we're in the 0.7 club. And that's where I need to be profitable. We're all nervous about profitability for 2023. And we can lock in some pretty good crop prices right now. But can we keep up with the increase in the input costs? I talk about our goal on our farm of 0.7 pounds of N for raising 1 bushel of corn. And for our operation, a flexible nitrogen plan is the way that we do that. So here we're in the field in mid-August, and there's a lot of angst about the growing season of 23. What's nitrogen costs going to be? And a lot of us are looking right now at bringing nitrogen in, and we're in that 70 cents per unit. And there's a lot of talk about it's going to be well over $1. And so at 360, we talk all the time about base plus. And it's this time of year you come in and you analyze how we did this season for plans for next year. So a base plus program is simply this. We use our planter with the 360 Bandits, and we put on 80 units, and then we wait. What are we waiting for? We're waiting to see, like we have this year, does Mike Microbials, Mike and his team, going to kick in and give us free nitrogen? Because if it does, we definitely can save on the input side. And so as I look at this field, I get excited. Our nitrogen program here is on the money. And we're in that 0.73 pounds of N per yield goal bushel in this field. And what I see is when I'm looking back here in the plants and I'm pulling out the lowest leaves and I'm saying, are they all nitrogen fired? And did we flat run out? Of course, when I grab the ears themselves and we look at the ears themselves, we can see that we didn't run out because of what the kernel size is going to be. I get excited when I see kernel size in this diameter. And so yes, this year I can just tell by looking at him is 18 around. And you and I look at these kernels and this will make your heart tick. And so it's all about at the end of the race, if we had it right, we're really excited. Can't wait to get the combine in here. This year, we were blessed with some really strong mineralization. That free nitrogen that Mike can deliver. How do I know? Because the lower leaves show no nitrogen drawdown, and we can pull our soil scan nitrate readings and monitor levels. By holding our last nitrogen application as late as possible, we can take advantage of that free N. If we had sunk all of our nitrogen dollars in the ground before planting with anhydrous or weed and feed, we'd have wasted that mineralized nitrogen. But with Y-drop and soil scan, I can wait until I see my N levels drop below that 10 parts per million and then adjust my rates to take advantage of that bonus N. This year, seeing the potential, I actually boosted my N rates on that last application, which I believe helped push us to a very nice yields, 20 to 30 bushels more than what we'd actually expected. And that still kept us below the 0.7 units per bushel. A good part of that extra yield came from the tremendous grain fill, and that was due to some timely rains and strong plant health. Our fungicide application paid for itself again this year. After last season, when tar spot took us all by surprise, had a huge impact on plant health and yield. We were on high alert. We spent even more time in the fields to monitor plant health and determine what and when to apply. What a difference a year can make. Last year at this time, in this county where we live, we had tar spot running wild and running away with it. And this particular hybrid was one of the worst that I raised. So in 22, the spring, I said, I need to put out 100 acres of that same problem hybrid to give me a good spot to do quite a bit of testing. What I wanted to do is have this hybrid break of tar spot again. Not really, but it'd be really sweet if it would. And we were going to bring in our 360 undercover, ground rig of just boom over the top in an airplane and start to look at what are the answers. How do we manage tar spot? Even though we realize that there's no fungicide that has tar spot on its label. So we come in here now in August of 22, this hybrid that was so weak is now looking like $1 million because environment. This particular year, we did not have the saturating 4 and 3 and 6 inch rain events. We had as much as 9 inches last year in one event. And the saturation and the wetness of these leaves was a perfect environment for tar spot. It comes from the bottom and it rages up through the plant. And if you have other diseases, such as northern or rust or gray leaf, it really accentuates and even multiplies faster yet. So as I'm in here today and I've just come in and we start looking for disease, this is a very friendly year for us for even the gray leaves, the northerns, and the rust. And so I just start pulling leaves. And I'm always looking at the leaves below the ear leaf itself. So the last leaf I have here in my stack is the ear leaf, and that's the golden ticket. This is the one that's doing the heavy lifting when we talk about kernel size. How many kernels does it take to fill a bushel basket? And so, yes, I see one spot of gray leaf here, but as I look through this whole stack, and yes, we sprayed all of our corn acres this year. And so in this case, on July 13th, we were in here for DeLauro at 8 ounces, and we had 18 gallons of water, and we come through here with the Hagie on the ground rig. And we were giving it everything that we could, every advantage that we could to control disease. And so as I look, I start at the top and I come down and I see all those leaves up there are looking really good. I don't see any, let me make sure before I say it, I don't see any gray leaf at the top of the plant until I get down here. And so in this case, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we know that the ear is always set on the 7th node from the top. That's your high yield. So anytime you're in the field, count down. You always want this ear to be set. You always want this ear to be set on the 7th node from the top because that's where it's going to get the highest yield. And so you look at this ear here and you like the kernel size and you see that this ear is having a pretty good year. And so as you strip these coming down, you can see what kind of disease pressure. So starting at the very bottom leaf, and I like our nitrogen program in here. This is bean ground coming from bean ground. And so you can see this bottom leaf is still have a lot of green left in it. And we just start coming up and you can see some of the disease that's on these different plants. And you can see the gray leaf here that's coming and starting. So that would be the second from the bottom. This would be the third. And you can see this guy's pretty good until you get right out here at the tip, and you can start to pick up some there. What am I looking for? If I was early in this field and hadn't already applied fungicide, anything below the ear leaf, you combine all that disease, and if it covers a quarter, a 25-cent piece, you need to pull the trigger and get the sprayer ready to go, or call your airplane. And so as I look here, I like the control we have. Yes, we're 21 days after spraying, and so if we're prepared. We have fungicide in the shop. We're prepared to make a 2-pass this year. But what I see right here, zero evidence of tar spot, and the gray leaf, I think we're going to finish strong. I think we're well managed as I look through this cornfield at the disease pressure that we have. We were very blessed this year. Timely rains, strong mineralization, and old tar spot stayed away. So all in all, I have to give our nitrogen and plant health program a pretty good grade, maybe even an A. But we wouldn't take all the credit. The good Lord blessed us this season. Now our job is to tweak our plans for next year and be ready for anything Mother Nature throws at us.